Let's take a look at the code level of how CakePHP is laid out. This should enable you to hit the ground running if you want to start developing using CakePHP. So let's go ahead and, using our text editor, I'm going to open the directory of our CakePHP application. In this case, I put it in the htdocs subdirectory of MAMP, which is the web root. So I'm going to go ahead and open that directory, which will show me the application structure of CakePHP on the left. You can see I have a few main subfolders. The app directory is going to be my app, and we'll look there in a second. The lib directory contains the CakePHP core. So these are all the classes and helpers and things that you'll use inside of Cake. The plugins directory allows you to put any kind of plugin patches or whatever else you want to add in terms of plugins. These can be third-party, or you can write your own plugins. And the vendors is specifically for third-party tools. Let's open the app directory. You can see in here, this is our application. There's a config directory where we're going to have all of our configuration files. The console is where Bake is located. The controller will house our controllers. The model will have our model. The web root is going to contain all of our files that we need to execute things in a browser. This can include CSS or JavaScript or image or any other files that we want to use in relation to that. And there are some other ones that are less important or that you may use for more advanced concepts. The way that we configure routes inside of CakePHP is by looking in the config directory. There's a special folder called routes.php. You can see we have the special router class that we use, and we call this connect method, and we pass some data to it. And this will determine how things are loaded. Notice how the connect specifies the path. In this case, it's the /, and then it will tell you what to call on. We're going to call on the pages, the action will be display, and the default is home. And we have another one here where we have pages/* that allows for a wildcard. This allows us to pass things to the pages and display, but we'll also be able to specify some other data. The main controller that's used by all applications is the app controller. This is the default controller, and you can see there's currently really nothing else inside of this controller. We do, however, have this subcontroller called Pages Controller. And you can see this extends the app controller. So whatever I write into that main controller will get inherited by any other controllers inside of that application. So it allows you to write a subset of functionality that can be reused throughout your application. You, of course, can create your own controllers and controller methods for each rendering option. One thing to remember is that how you name things in CakePHP will determine how things get loaded. For example, when you call on something, the way that the view gets rendered will be based on the controller name, and then underneath that, it will look for the name of the action that you call, in this case, home. So the home.ctp, which is Cake template, is loaded when you call the home action on the Pages controller. You also have essentially your controller accessible via the this variable. This is how you can access helpers and variables that exist inside of the controller. The view layer itself is broken down into a few elements. We have the layout elements, which are essentially the wrappers, and they can wrap based on different contexts. There are what are called elements. The elements are essentially little widgets that you can reuse throughout your application. And then you have helpers, and these can be different things you use to build forms and to do other things within your application. CakePHP is a fairly comprehensive MVC framework. It allows developers to skip a lot of steps by using naming conventions to connect models to databases, models to controllers, views to controllers, and the like. Once you get used to the CakePHP environment, this can make getting an application up and running, well, a piece of cake. Still interested? Let's look at where to go from here.